I don't know why it felt wrong, but it did. The moment I saw Brianna's name flash across my screen, something twisted in my gut. It was a text, simple, short, but carrying a weight that made the air in my apartment thicken. Hey babe, just wanted to let you know I'm gonna be with Chris for a bit. His dad passed away unexpectedly, and I'm just comforting him. Don't be jealous. The don't be jealous part caught me off guard. I'm not some insecure guy who needs to constantly be reassured, but that line, something about it felt off. Chris, her ex? Sure, I knew they were still friendly, but why would she need to tell me not to be jealous? I'd never once shown any kind of insecurity about him. I stared at the message, trying to make sense of it, but the more I looked, the more questions piled up in my head. Why hadn't she mentioned anything about Chris's dad passing away before? She was always so detailed about what was going on with her life. She'd never left out something this big, and the wording felt almost rehearsed. I didn't want to overreact, so I kept it cool, replied with a simple, "Hope everything's okay. Let me know if you need anything," and set the phone down. But my mind didn't let it go. I opened up my browser and looked up the obituary for Chris's family. Nothing. No mention of a death. No funeral notices. I felt the unease twist deeper in my chest, but I didn't confront her. Not yet. Maybe I was overthinking it. She was probably just trying to be a good friend. The next morning, though, I couldn't shake the feeling. I ordered flowers for Chris's family, didn't want to seem heartless if something had actually happened, and had them delivered to his house. Brianna seemed touched when I told her, but something in her voice over the phone later, the way she shifted uncomfortably, made that gnawing feeling creep back up. I didn't press it, not yet, but I knew something wasn't right. The whole situation felt wrong. Off. And I wasn't sure if I was being paranoid or if I was starting to see things clearly. I was still sitting on the couch when my phone rang. It wasn't Brianna. It was Chris. My heart skipped a beat, nerves clenching in my stomach. I wasn't ready for this, but I answered anyway. "Hey Chris, what's up?" There was a pause, and then the sound of his voice, sharp and confused. "Dude, what the hell is this about? Why the hell did you send flowers to my house?" I froze, my grip tightening on the phone. "Wait, what? You got the flowers?" "Yeah, I got them. But James, my dad's not dead. He's fine. What the hell is going on?" I blinked, his words hitting me like a punch to the gut. "What do you mean your dad's fine? Brianna told me." "Brianna told you?" Chris cut me off, his voice rising. "What the hell did she tell you, man? I'm so confused. My dad's alive. No one died. You got the wrong idea." I felt a rush of heat flood my face, the blood in my veins turning cold. My mind was spinning, piecing things together, and nothing was adding up. "So, Brianna didn't tell me the truth." "Clearly not," Chris said, a mix of frustration and bewilderment in his voice. "I'm not sure what's going on, but she's way off on this one." I didn't know what to say. I mumbled something like, "Sorry for the mix-up," before hanging up, my mind racing. I set the phone down, fingers numb. The whole situation felt like a twisted joke. Why would Brianna lie about something like this? I couldn't get over the fact that she'd said, "Don't be jealous." As if there was something to be jealous of. I'd known about Chris and her history, but I had always trusted her. Always. Just then, my phone buzzed again, and I saw Brianna's name flash on the screen. I answered it, trying to keep my voice steady. "Hey Bri. So, I just got off the phone with Chris." "Oh my God," she said, sounding almost panicked. "James, I swear, it's just a misunderstanding. I told you his great-uncle passed away. I must have confused the two of them in the text." A chill ran down my spine. "Wait, you confused his dad with his great-uncle?" "Yes, it's just a mix-up, I promise. His great-uncle died recently. It's been hard for Chris and his family, and I'm just trying to be there for him." I tried to stay calm, but something in her voice didn't sit right. "What was his great-uncle's name?" There was a long pause. Too long. I don't know. I think it was, Gerald?" Her voice cracked, and that's when it hit me. She didn't sound sure. She sounded like she was making it up as she went. I clenched my jaw, the anger starting to bubble up, but I kept my tone controlled. You don't know his name? I don't know, James. It's just been a lot. Okay? The desperation in her voice was palpable. It made my skin crawl. The longer she spoke, the more I could feel my suspicions growing. But I didn't want to jump to conclusions. Not yet. Okay, fine. But I think you need to be honest with me, Brianna. This doesn't make sense. I am being honest. She almost shouted, but then her voice softened. I swear. It's not what you think. I closed my eyes, taking a deep breath. This wasn't the Brianna I knew. I wanted to believe her, but I wasn't an idiot. Something wasn't right. I could hear it in her voice. She was trying too hard to cover something up. I'll call you later, okay? I said, my voice flat. There was a pause, then a quiet. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. I hung up and stared at the phone in my hand. Nothing about this added up. But what the hell was I supposed to do? Confront her now? I didn't know what the truth was, but I felt like I was standing on the edge of something ugly, something I didn't want to face. But the more I thought about it, the more the gut feeling grew. She was hiding something, and whatever it wasn't just a misunderstanding. I couldn't just sit there anymore, not with that pit in my stomach gnawing at me. I needed to know. So I grabbed my laptop, opened up a new tab, and started searching. I looked up funeral homes in Chris's area, checked the local obituaries. Anything that might confirm what Brianna had said. Nothing. No mentions of any death in Chris's family. I even went through a few other sources. Nothing. The more I dug, the less sense Brianna's story made. How could she have gotten it so wrong? How could she have lied to me so easily? It felt like I was losing my grip on something important. The trust one had in her, the relationship we'd built. It all started slipping through my fingers. But I didn't want to jump to conclusions. Not yet. I had to stay calm, keep my head together. The last thing I wanted was to blow this out of proportion. But damn, the doubt was already there. It was eating at me, and that sick feeling wasn't going away. I shut the laptop, sat there for a moment, staring at the screen like it was going to give me some kind of answer I wasn't ready to hear. The longer I stayed in that silence, the more I realized I couldn't ignore it anymore. Brianna wasn't being straight with me. I could feel it deep down. The door opened, and I snapped out of my thoughts. Brianna stepped inside, looking the same as always. Her hair pulled back into a messy bun, wearing a soft sweater and jeans. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Hey," she said softly. "I've been with Chris and his family. He's really going through it right now." I nodded, keeping my face neutral. "Yeah, I figured. How's he doing?" She sighed, running her fingers through her hair. "It's hard. He's really struggling. I'm just trying to be there for him, you know?" I watched her, trying to read between the lines, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. She was giving me the same story she'd given me before, only this time, it didn't feel as convincing. It was like she was trying to smooth everything over, like she was covering up something she didn't want me to see. "You're a good friend," I said, trying to keep the conversation light, but my voice, even to me, sounded off, like I wasn't buying it. She smiled, but it was quick, forced. "I just want to make sure he's okay. His whole family's been really shaken up by all of this." I clenched my jaw. That was another thing. Why had she never mentioned his family being shaken up when she first told me about his dad dying? It wasn't like her to leave out details when she was telling me about something serious. "Yeah, sounds tough," I muttered, leaning back in my chair, trying to look casual. "I ordered flowers for Chris's family earlier. Just thought it was the right thing to do." She froze, her eyes flickering to mine. "You did?" She looked almost surprised, like she hadn't expected me to actually follow through on it. "That's really sweet of you, James." I shrugged, but the weight of her reaction made my skin prickle. It wasn't the response I expected. "Yeah, I just thought, well, I didn't want to seem heartless if something really did happen." Brianna looked away quickly, like she was hiding something in the way her face shifted. I hated that. I hated how it made me feel like I was talking to a stranger. "Of course, you're a good guy," she said, but there was something forced about it. I kept my voice even, but the questions were piling up. So, you've been with Chris for a while now? You seem pretty wrapped up in it all. She gave a quick nod, but her fingers were twisting the hem of her sweater, a nervous habit I'd seen her do when she was feeling cornered. Yeah, just trying to help. It's a tough situation. You understand, right? I wanted to believe her. I wanted to take her at her word, but the nagging voice in the back of my head told me something was wrong. She was hiding something, and I couldn't let it go. I stood up, walking over to the window, pretending to look outside when I was really just trying to calm the storm building inside me. I get it, I said, my back to her. I really do. But, Bree, you're acting kinda strange about all of this. You've been acting weird since you first told me about it. She cut me off, her voice tight, defensive. I'm not acting weird, James. You're overthinking this. I'm just trying to help a friend in need. It's not a big deal. The defensiveness in her voice made my pulse quicken. There was no way I could drop it now. The way she was acting, like she was hiding something, like she was scared I might find out, made my skin crawl. I don't know, Bree, I said, keeping my voice steady even though I felt anything but calm. It just doesn't add up. You've been off. You're saying one thing, but your actions are saying something else. She shifted, looking like she was about to say something, but then she closed her mouth, her shoulders slumping. I'm trying to be there for Chris, okay? Her voice was small now, like she was pleading for me to let it go. I turned to face her, my stomach twisting. The more she said, the more the tension built, the more the doubt spread inside me. I could feel it, the lie that was just beneath the surface. But I wasn't going to push her right now. Not yet. I just needed to know what was really going on. I couldn't take it anymore. The tension in the room was suffocating, and all I could hear was the sound of my own pulse thudding in my ears. Brianna was still standing there, shifting her weight, avoiding my eyes, and pretending everything was fine. But it wasn't fine. Not by a long shot. Brianna, I said, my voice low but firm. Something's not right. You've been telling me one thing, and everything else is saying something else. The flowers, the lies about Chris's family. None of it makes sense. She stiffened at my words, her eyes darting to the floor. James, please, it was just a harmless mistake. I don't know why you're blowing this up into something it's not. I swallowed hard, pushing my anger down. A harmless mistake? Brianna, you told me Chris's dad died. That was the story. But there's no death, no obituary, no funeral. I stopped myself, trying to calm down before I said something I'd regret. You lied to me. Her eyes flared, and her chin lifted in defense. I didn't lie. It's a complicated situation, okay? I didn't want to upset you with all the details. You don't understand. Then explain it to me. I shot back, keeping my voice steady but sharp. Who died, Brianna? You said his dad, but now you're saying his great-uncle. I need details. You're giving me nothing, and that's not adding up. She hesitated for a moment, her eyes flickering nervously, and then her face shifted. I saw it, she was getting defensive. Her mouth twisted into a frown, her hands clenching into fists at her sides. I'm just trying to help, okay? Chris's family's been through a lot lately. I'm just being there for him, James. Can't you see that? I stepped forward, the frustration bubbling over. I do see that, but I don't think you're being honest with me. Why are you hiding so much? Her eyes were wide now, panicked, but still, she didn't answer me. Instead, she took a shaky breath and said, It's not a big deal. I needed to be there for him. I thought you'd understand. Brianna, you're not answering my questions, I said, my voice tight. Why didn't you tell me the truth about why you were there? Why the lies about a death? She looked at the ground, her lips trembling. There was a long, heavy silence before she finally spoke, her voice barely a whisper. Okay, fine. You want the truth. She swallowed hard, the words seeming to choke her. There wasn't a death. I wasn't there because of a death. I went to Chris's house because I needed closure, James. My chest tightened, the air in the room suddenly thick. I stared at her, not sure if I'd heard her right. Closure? What the hell does that mean? She took a deep breath, her voice breaking as she spoke. It wasn't anything serious. I needed to talk to him. Chris and I had unfinished business. I thought I could get some peace. That's all. But it wasn't like that. It wasn't anything serious. I swear. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. Unfinished business? My voice was hoarse, my heart thudding painfully in my chest. What, Brianna? You're telling me you went over there to get closure? With your ex? Behind my back. She took a step toward me, her face pleading, but all I could feel was betrayal. I wasn't cheating, James. It wasn't like that. I didn't know how to move on. And I thought talking to him might help me get past everything. The words hung in the air between us, thick with the weight of what she was admitting. You're telling me that instead of talking to me about whatever the hell was going on, you chose to go to Chris? You chose him over me? Her eyes filled with tears now, but I wasn't sure if they were real or just another part of the act. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. I never wanted to hurt you. I could feel the anger rising again, hot and sharp, but beneath it all, there was a deep ache in my chest. I can't believe this, I muttered, pacing away from her. I didn't want to scream at her, but it was hard to hold it all in. You lied to me. You went to him behind my back, and then you tried to cover it up with some story about a death. James, please. Her voice cracked, and she reached out to me, but I couldn't let her touch me. Not now. No, I said, turning to face her, my voice quiet but firm. I can't do this. I can't keep pretending like everything's fine when you've been lying to me. I thought we had something real, Brianna, but now, I can't trust you anymore. Her face crumpled, and for a moment, I almost felt guilty for pushing her to the edge. But the hurt was too deep, too real. She crossed a line I couldn't ignore. I think you need to leave, I said, my voice breaking, but I forced the words out. I need you to go. Her eyes were wide, shocked, like she couldn't believe what I was saying. James, don't do this, she whispered, her voice thick with tears. Please don't. But I didn't want to hear it. I said leave. She stood there for a beat, a tear slipping down her cheek, before she turned and walked out, slamming the door behind her. The sound echoed through the empty apartment, and I was left standing there, numb, the weight of everything settling in my chest. And as I stood there, alone in the silence, I knew one thing for sure: things would never be the same again. The phone calls started the next morning. At first, I thought it was just Brianna calling to apologize or maybe to explain herself again. But when I checked the screen, it was her, Diane, Brianna's mom. I ignored it. I had no intention of talking to anyone from that family, not after everything that had just gone down. But she kept calling, over and over again, like she thought I'd change my mind, like I'd suddenly forget everything I'd just learned. By the time I'd gotten through the 5th missed call, I was pissed. I didn't want to deal with this, so I finally answered the 6th time, hoping she'd hear the finality in my voice. James, honey, it's Diane, she said, her voice sugary sweet but strained, like she was holding something back. I know this is hard, but I need you to listen. Brianna's been going through a lot lately. You've got to understand. This whole thing has been such an emotional mess for her. I felt my pulse spike, but I kept my voice steady. Diane, I'm not interested in talking about this. Brianna lied to me. I don't need to be manipulated into forgiving her. Oh, sweetie, she sighed. You're overreacting. Brianna made a mistake. She's just trying to make sense of everything. She's struggling, and she really needs you right now. Don't throw away something so good over a misunderstanding. I could feel my chest tightening. This wasn't some small mistake. She wasn't just trying to make sense of things. She's the one who lied, Diane, not me. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it didn't happen. I understand you're hurt, but you've got to forgive her, she continued, her voice now laced with desperation. You and Brianna, you've been good together. You're both good people. Don't throw it all away just because of a little slip-up. A slip-up? I couldn't help myself. She lied about something huge. That's not a slip-up, Diane. And I'm not just going to pretend everything's fine because you're telling me to forgive her. She paused. James, sweetie, you need to calm down. You don't understand what Brianna's been going through. I'm just asking for you to be the bigger person here. Please, can't you at least talk to her? Work through this together. I don't want to talk to her. Not right now and maybe not ever, I said, the words heavy in my mouth. I can't keep doing this. There was a long pause, and I knew that silence meant she was calculating her next move. I wasn't wrong. The next day, I started hearing from everyone. Mutual friends, acquaintances, even people I hadn't talked to in a while. Messages, texts, calls, all with the same general theme. Why was I being so hard on Brianna? It didn't take long to realize Diane was the one behind it all. She'd been telling people I was unreasonable, that I was throwing away a good relationship over misunderstandings. Some of our friends even started sharing things with me. Text messages Diane had sent them, trying to convince them to talk some sense into me. Pissed me off. I didn't need her or anyone else telling me what I should or shouldn't do. I started ignoring the messages. I blocked Diane's number. But then she got sneakier. She started going through our mutual friends, telling them I was being cruel, that I was punishing Brianna for nothing. And some of them actually believed her. Some of them started questioning me. James, don't you think you're overreacting? Maybe you should just hear Brianna out. It was like they were all suddenly on Brianna's side, like I was the bad guy. And that made the whole thing even worse. The more people I had to explain myself to, the more isolated I felt. I wasn't the one who had done anything wrong. Yet somehow I was the one being painted as the villain. Couldn't back down. Not now. The more Diane and Brianna's friends pushed, the more resolute I became. I wasn't going to let anyone manipulate me into forgiving someone who had already broken my trust. They could say whatever they wanted, misunderstanding or not, this was more than that. I wasn't going to let her or her family rewrite the story. I didn't owe anyone an explanation, least of all Diane. Brianna's actions spoke for themselves. The message came through just before midnight. It was from Haley, one of Chris's friends, and it took me a moment to open it. When I did, I froze. There were screenshots, dozens of them, conversations between Brianna and Chris. They were talking about meeting up, planning secret get-togethers, making excuses to spend time together. The messages went back for months, long before the misunderstanding Brianna had tried to sell me. Then came the bombshell, a photo. Brianna, lying in Chris's bed, her hand resting on the pillow beside her, wearing the bracelet I had given her on our anniversary. The same one I had picked out because I thought it would mean something special to us. My stomach lurched. It felt like the ground had been ripped out from beneath me. I couldn't breathe for a second, just staring at the screen, watching the truth unfold before me. Everything she'd told me was a lie. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a misunderstanding. She'd been seeing him, behind my back, all along. I felt sick, but at the same time, I felt a cold clarity settle over me. This wasn't just some petty mistake or miscommunication. Brianna had betrayed me in a way I couldn't ignore. I needed to confront her. Right then, I called her. She answered on the second ring, her voice light, like everything was fine. Hey, what's up? Come over, I said, my voice tight. We need to talk. She hesitated. James? What's going on? Just come over. Now. A few minutes later, there was a knock at the door. My heart was pounding in my chest as I opened it to find Brianna standing there, looking as casual as ever, a slight smile on her face. She stepped in without waiting for an invitation. I didn't know you wanted to see me, she said, trying to sound nonchalant. What's up? I didn't say anything. I just pulled my phone from my pocket and opened the messages Haley had sent me. I handed her the phone. Take a look at this. Brianna's smile faltered when she saw what I'd handed her. The color drained from her face as she read through the messages. I watched her eyes flicker nervously over the screen, trying to make sense of what she was looking at. The photo, the conversations, the lies. For a moment, she didn't say anything. Her hand shook slightly as she held the phone, like she was trying to process everything. I don't know what this is, she started, her voice cracking. This isn't what it looks like, James. I stepped closer, feeling the anger building up in me. It's exactly what it looks like. You've been lying to me, Brianna, for months. You've been seeing Chris behind my back, using me, and you have the nerve to act like nothing's wrong. She backed away from me, her hands trembling. James, please. No, you don't get to do this. I cut her off. You don't get to lie, then backpedal when the truth comes out. What, you thought I wouldn't find out? You thought I'd just keep trusting you after everything you've done? She looked like she was about to cry, her face crumpling, but the guilt didn't feel like it was for me. Felt like she was regretting getting caught. It wasn't like that. It was just, I was confused. I didn't know what I wanted. I needed someone to talk to. Someone who understood me. I could feel my blood boiling. Someone who understood you? You were using Chris to fill a void you created with me. And then you thought it would be okay to keep this a secret from me? To lie to my face every damn day. She looked away, a tear slipping down her cheek, but I didn't feel sorry for her. I'm sorry, okay? I am. But you were never really there for me, James. You were always so distant, so wrapped up in your own stuff. I tried, but you weren't there. And I needed to feel something, to know that someone cared. My chest tightened, the hurt settling in deeper than any anger I felt. So this was my fault? You're blaming me because I didn't give you enough attention? That's why you went to him? That's why you were lying to me for months? She nodded, her voice trembling. I just needed closure, James. I thought seeing him again would fix things. But I didn't mean to hurt you. The words hit me like a punch. Closure? You went to Chris for closure? You don't get to do that. You don't get to betray me, then turn around and act like I'm the one who pushed you into it. She took a step toward me, desperation in her eyes. James, please, I never meant for it to go this far. It was a mistake, I swear. I needed something more than what you were giving me. I didn't know how to tell you. I shook my head, my throat tight with emotion. No, Brianna, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep forgiving you for things that keep happening. For lies. For betrayal. Her face crumbled. James, please don't do this. I love you. I need you. But I couldn't feel it anymore. I couldn't feel any of it. The love, the trust, it was gone. I'm done, I said, my voice breaking. I can't be with someone who's been lying to me like this. She looked at me like I was the one who had broken everything. But I knew deep down, I wasn't the one who had shattered us. She had done that piece by piece. I turned away, not giving her a chance to say anything more. You need to leave. Now. She hesitated, but I didn't care. I said, leave, Brianna. The door slammed behind her, and I stood there, the weight of the truth sinking in. I didn't feel better. I didn't feel relieved. I just felt empty. And I knew without a doubt that I was done. The days that followed felt like a blur. Brianna's departure didn't bring relief. It felt more like the beginning of a battle I hadn't signed up for. I didn't expect it to be easy, but I sure as hell didn't expect it to blow up the way it did. The first sign of trouble came when I saw Brianna's post. It wasn't a long message, but it didn't need to be. A photo of her standing in some field with the sun setting behind her, looking like she was on top of the world. The caption was what cut through me. Finally free from the chains of a loveless relationship. I deserve more. I deserve happiness. I'll never settle for less again. #freedom, #new beginnings. It stung. I hadn't said a word publicly about what had happened. I wasn't going to dignify her actions with a response. But Brianna? She was painting herself as the victim. She was spinning this whole thing like I was the one who'd trapped her. Like I was some emotionally distant monster who didn't care about her. It was twisted. The notifications on my phone started pinging, one after the other. Friends, family, people I hadn't even talked to in months, all commenting, liking, sending her messages of support. People were rallying around her, praising her for being brave, for getting out of a relationship that was holding her back. Some even started privately messaging me, asking if I was okay, as if I were the one who'd done something wrong. I didn't reply. I wasn't going to make this public. I wasn't going to get into some messy social media war. But I had something she didn't. Proof. I took a breath and started compiling everything. The screenshots of Brianna and Chris's messages. The photo of her in his bed, wearing my bracelet. I sent them to a few close friends. People I knew would listen to the truth, people who wouldn't just take Brianna's word for it. I didn't want to drag this out, but I wasn't about to let her rewrite the story either. If she wanted to lie about what had happened, I was going to make sure the people who mattered knew the truth. Within hours, the tide began to shift. One by one, my friends started reaching out to me. James, I had no idea. I'm so sorry, they said. Some even started calling Brianna out on social media. They weren't buying the victim act anymore. The friends she thought would have her back began distancing themselves, commenting on her posts, telling her she needed to own up to what had happened. I didn't ask them to do it. I didn't need to. The truth was doing its job. Brianna's image started to crumble. It wasn't just the posts either. Her friends, those who still stuck around, began questioning her. You never mentioned how serious things were between you and Chris. One of them wrote, what about James? What about the relationship you left behind? Another friend chimed in with, you deserve better than this, but you should have been honest about why things ended. The cracks started to show. And the more people saw, the more they began to realize what had really been going on. Brianna's phone started blowing up with messages, ones she couldn't ignore. One after another, the support that had once poured in started to dry up. Her posts became defensive. You all don't understand. You don't know what it was like. He was never there for me. I was alone in that relationship. But no one was buying it anymore. I saw it all unfold on my own feed, through friends' statuses, comments, and direct messages. It was like watching her whole world turn against her. Brianna wasn't the victim anymore. She was the villain. And it felt good. Not because I wanted revenge. Honestly, I didn't. I just wanted the truth out there. But seeing her realize that the lies she told were falling apart, seeing her lose control of the narrative, felt like some sort of justice. She tried to paint herself as the hero in this story, but now everyone was seeing her for what she really was. The pressure on her started to build. I knew it was only a matter of time before it hit a breaking point. It wasn't just her social media presence that was taking a hit. People who had once defended her were starting to ask questions. And that made everything worse. Brianna couldn't hide anymore. I stayed quiet. I didn't respond to her posts or messages. There was nothing left to say. She had her chance to be honest, and she blew it. I had no interest in dragging this out any further. The truth was out, and I was done. The hardest part wasn't seeing Brianna unravel. It was realizing how easily people had believed her lies, how quickly they had sided with her without asking the hard questions. That part still stung. But I couldn't let that stop me. Couldn't let her narrative stand. And as I watched her fall apart on the outside, I felt a sense of peace settle inside me. It wasn't revenge. It was clarity. At first, I thought it was over. Brianna's social media was quiet. I'd stopped hearing from her friends, and everything seemed to be settling into a strange, uneasy calm. But then the calls started. It wasn't from her directly, but I knew it was her pulling the strings. My work phone rang first. It was HR. My stomach dropped. James, we've been receiving some concerns about your behavior recently, the HR manager said, her voice cautious. A few reports have come in that there might be some harassment involved. Do you know anything about this? My mind immediately flashed to Brianna. I didn't have to guess who was behind it. I'm guessing this has something to do with Brianna, I said, keeping my voice steady. I've been getting calls from her for days now, and I'm sure she's telling you some pretty wild stories about me. None of it's true. There was a pause on the other end, like she was weighing her words. James, we take these claims seriously. It's important to maintain a respectful and professional environment. We'll need to review the situation. I didn't panic. Couldn't. Look, I said, pulling out my phone. I've got evidence. I can show you the truth of everything that's been happening. If you give me a moment, I can send it over. I emailed everything, screenshots, photos, timestamps, just to cover my bases. It wasn't about proving I was innocent. It was about showing them that Brianna had been the one pushing boundaries, that I wasn't the one in the wrong here. Within an hour, HR called back. "We've reviewed the evidence," the manager said, sounding relieved. "You're in the clear. We'll handle this from here. If Brianna continues to make these claims, we'll take appropriate action." I felt a brief flicker of relief, but that relief didn't last long. The next day, my landlord called. "James, I've been getting some unusual complaints," he said, his voice tight. "There's been a report from someone about you, accusing you of being unstable. Is everything all right on your end?" I ran a hand through my hair, trying to keep calm. "I'm fine," I said. "This is Brianna, isn't it?" "James, I'm just the messenger. I'm not accusing you of anything, but these reports aren't something I can ignore." I didn't give him much more than a quick explanation, knowing full well what was going on. Brianna wasn't just talking to people around me. She was trying to tear me down, one contact at a time. But it didn't stop there. The calls kept coming, the accusations getting wilder with each one. Brianna's desperation was becoming clear. She was losing control, and she was trying to drag me down with her. I knew that, but what I didn't expect was the way she tried to escalate things. A few days later, I got a call from my mom. "James, honey, Brianna's been calling your father and me. She's saying you're harassing her. You need to talk to her, figure this out. This is not good." I didn't want to get into it with my parents, but I could feel the weight of the situation sinking in. Brianna wasn't just trying to ruin my reputation at work and with my landlord. She was reaching into my personal life, my family. She was trying to paint me as unstable, as someone who couldn't be trusted. That was the line. I didn't respond to her. I didn't respond to anyone telling me to fix things. I didn't want to fix anything with her. I just wanted it to stop. So I took the next step. I went to court. The process was as straightforward as it could be, considering the circumstances. I filed for a restraining order. The paperwork, the interviews, the legal side of things, it was all exhausting. But I didn't care. I couldn't let Brianna keep using people to manipulate and control me. She needed to understand that I wasn't going to let her ruin my life. When the judge signed the order, I felt a sense of relief that I didn't expect. It wasn't about punishment, it was about setting boundaries. It was about drawing a clear line between me and someone who couldn't let go. Brianna tried to push back, of course. I got a few more emails and messages, most of them crying out about how I was ruining her life, how I was destroying her reputation. But at that point, it didn't matter. She'd already lost. Her manipulation wasn't working anymore. She couldn't control the narrative. People were starting to see her for who she really was. The more she tried to escalate things, the more isolated she became. And in the end, I didn't have to say a word. I just had to stay quiet, hold my ground, and let her self-destruct. Every desperate measure she took only pushed people further away. Her lies, her attempts to ruin me, they backfired. I couldn't change what had happened, but I knew I was done. Brianna wasn't just someone I couldn't trust. She was someone who couldn't even trust herself. And now I was free of it. A few months after everything with Brianna blew up, I started hearing rumors again. This time it wasn't about me. It was about her. She'd moved on quickly, or so it seemed. Brianna started dating Tyler, Chris's best friend. I remember hearing it through mutual friends. Tyler? Of all people. It didn't make sense. I didn't know what kind of damage she was trying to cause now. But I didn't care. I'd made my peace with her, or at least I thought I had. But, of course, it didn't last. The relationship with Tyler fell apart just as fast as it had started. From what I heard, Tyler caught on to Brianna's manipulative behavior. He didn't put up with it for long. After a few weeks, he broke things off, but not before the whole thing had left a mess. I didn't feel bad for her. I knew she'd been playing the same games with him that she had with me. I could almost feel the inevitable unraveling happening from a distance. Brianna wasn't just looking for a new relationship. She was looking for a way to stay in control of the narrative. Then came the blog. She called it Dating While Healing. A blog. And what did she write about? Herself, of course. Brianna painted herself as the victim of emotional abuse, claiming I had broken her down and stifled her growth. She played the martyr, writing about how she was finally free from a controlling relationship and had to learn how to love herself again. I felt the anger stir, but I kept my distance. She wasn't worth it. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized this wasn't just her spinning the story. She was actively trying to manipulate anyone who'd still listen. Haley reached out to me soon after the blog went live. She was furious, rightfully so. "This is insane, James. She's completely rewriting everything that happened, and it's like no one's questioning it." I didn't know what we could do at first, but then Haley had an idea. She suggested we create our own website, one that showed the real story. We didn't need to respond to her blog directly, we just needed to show the truth. I didn't hesitate. We both gathered the evidence, put everything together, messages, photos, timelines. Everything that showed Brianna had been the one lying and manipulating, not me. We put it up, and within hours, Brianna's blog was taken down. It was clear she couldn't keep up the act anymore. The moment she tried to make herself out to be the victim, the moment she tried to play the hero after destroying everything, she was exposed. People started to notice the inconsistencies in her story, and slowly her supporters began to fade. Brianna tried to make a comeback. She tried to reopen her blog and pretend like nothing had happened. But it was too late. She made her blog private, trying to lock everything down. But the damage was done. Word was spreading, and Brianna's reputation was slipping away fast. The sympathy she once had started to turn into mockery. She couldn't spin the truth anymore. Months went by and I had moved on. I'd started seeing someone new, someone who didn't come with a string of lies and baggage. It felt easy and good, and for the first time in a long while, I could just be happy without the constant weight of drama. Then one day, Brianna reached out to me again. She sent a message, long and emotional, telling me how I had ruined her life, how she couldn't believe I'd destroyed everything she had. It was everything I'd already heard from her before, only now, it felt more desperate. I didn't feel the anger I thought I would. I didn't feel anything. I just looked at her message, took a deep breath, and replied, "You ruined it yourself. You made your choices. I'm done." That was it. No more words needed. I had moved on. I was in a better place. Brianna's games didn't have a hold on me anymore. The truth had come out, and in the end, it wasn't me who needed to heal. I was already free.